So our last topic of the night deals with something related to level design.
Oh, yes. One of my favorite things to talk about, critical paths.
All right, and in order to start that, we are going to go to the level design book, which if you do not know what the leveldesignbook.com is, you need to go there if you are a level designer.
Yes.
And we are going to specifically talk about wayfinding. Wayfinding is a method. So go ahead, Miss Level Designer, you start and I'll back you up.
Okay. Well, let's talk about wayfinding.
Yeet.
It's when the player finds where they are in the level and or finds a route toward their destination. So we talk about player orientation. And navigation.
Right. So remember how every time we always talk about level design, we always talk about that critical path.
That's right, Wrath of Wood.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
You
too, Burke.
So the designers intended critical paths is what you as the designer create for the player to get through the level. But the word here is intended. Because, yeah.
More often than not, the player is not going to follow that path.
Yes. In fact, more often than not, some players will deliberately not choose the intended critical path.
I raise my hand.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So they talk a bit about the naturalism and plausibility with subtlety, which means basically whether or not you can make the critical path look natural.
Oh, stop with the teal lost. Oh, come on.
But at the same time, making it subtle enough that you're not obviously hand-holding them. This supplements really well with the podcast we did this past weekend about level design tricks, talking about things like the leading lines, etc.
Right. And yes, you can have train tracks laid down, Wrath, but that doesn't necessarily mean that teal is going to follow the train tracks.
Okay. So let's talk about wayfinding versus guidance.
Yes.
All right, go for it.
Very important.
Yes.
So,
yeah, the whole concept is the orthodoxy. We need to say, so the orthodoxy of level design is manipulating and tricking the player. Subconsciously pushing them while making them feel smart.
And to that we say no.
Yeah.
Please stop doing that.
Right.
Because it just, to me, it's annoying. You're assuming the player is a dumb shit.
Yes.
Please don't do that.
Right, exactly. The deceptive concept of the orthodox critical path is that the player needs that hand-holding to get through the level, and that's not good.
No, they don't. And if you're designing a level so that they do have to have hand-holding, you're doing it wrong.
Now, that doesn't mean that you don't create a critical path, quote-unquote, air quotes you can't see, that have things like your leading lines, etc., that show them the way to get through the level. But they often will avoid that. Not always, but often will avoid that to progress through side areas, different places.
People like me, we want to explore the side areas. We want to get every last treasure chest. We want to see every little thing in that level, everything.
Yes.
And we just progress through the game at our own pace.
Right.
This is especially true in open world games.
Yes.
I'm very non-linear when I play. A lot of folks are.
Mm-hmm.
And, we neither need nor want a single static goal that we have to get to.
Right. So again, remember, we're not saying don't design your, air quote, critical path that has your leading lines. Because you need a critical
path, absolutely.
Right. But what we're trying to say is don't use your critical path as the only way through your level.
That's exactly what we're saying.
That's where we're talking.
Let's repeat that.
Yes.
Don't have the critical path be the only way through your level.
Don't force them or trick them into going that way where there's literally no other direction. And hello, Black Rose Dragon. It is fantastic to see you.
Because we don't want to have Final Fantasy 13.
No, we don't. So Black Rose Dragon is a new member of our community, so welcome.
Welcome, Black Rose.
All right, so now remember, guys, there's no right or wrong way to play a game. If a player wants to walk down that path on a bridge, that leading line critical path that you crafted, let them do it.
Yeah.
You know, let them have fun with it.
They will do that.
But don't make it be that the only way that they can go is that way. So that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Think of it like this.
Yeah, think of it like this. You as the game dev, you're co-creating the game experience with your players.
Right.
Your mutual goal is to get them through the level.
Yes.
Okay. So you as a developer, you provide them the tools and information that they can use or choose not to use to get through the level.
Yeah.
Okay. You give it to them. They can choose whether they pick it up and run with it or not.
Right. So that way they're not feeling like they're being railroaded, but at the same time, they're feeling like they get to choose how to tackle your level. You know, if your level is a forest, they can choose to go straight down the path. They can choose to go off to the side. Maybe they can even choose to go treetops.
Yeah.
What is happening that's making you giggle?
PG says, get through the level. Put a neon sign in the sky that says exit here.
God help us.
Yeah.
Okay, so again.
Yeah, but getting back to this article and to the topic. As a game developer, you want to provide all the tools and information to the player so that they can play your game and have a good time doing it. And whether it's a dungeon crawler or a shooter or whatever have you, a puzzle game, you are responsible for giving them all the tools they need to play your game. How they choose to play it and progress is up to them.
So when you're designing your level, what you want to be thinking about is not so much what path they have to take to solve the level, but what tools, what skills that they have to use that you've taught them. Remember, teach, enforce, test.
Right.
That they can use to get through the level. It's more about how and not what direction.
And yes, KB, you're absolutely right. On the flip side, don't go so wide that the player doesn't know where to go next.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
That's why your open world games have quest markers. You know,
yeah.
Otherwise, you get balls ass lost. Okay, so we're going to move on to Wayfinding Theory. So this is the meat of the article.
Okay.
Go ahead, hun.
Okay, so let's tackle it first from a psychology standpoint.
Right.
People, and it says people do form mental maps, okay, to know where they're at in the game, in the space.
Right.
You use paths, which are your roads. You use edges, which are the boundaries of these roads. Districts are areas that are similar, like a town.
Or like this clump of trees here, or this area overlooking the river, or this part of the dungeon that's a torture chamber. Those are districts. Anything that's highly similar.
Right. Nodes are the intersection points.
Squares, junctions,
of squares or junctions.
Yeah.
And then, of course, landmarks. We all know what landmarks are.
Right,
this
a landmark.
Point of reference.
Yeah, like a wayshwine. A wayshwine.
Yeah, wayshwine.
In ESO, in Elder Scrolls Online. That is a landmark. Anything that is distinct within the particular area that a player can look at and instantly be able to figure out where they're at. Because as Teal said, psychologically people create maps in their head. That's normal. You navigate a area, let's say you're going downtown to go to a clothing store. You're gonna park your car somewhere in a parking lot, and you're gonna notice that here's a blast from the past, a Bennigan's right next to you. They're out of business, but I liked Bennigan's. So there's a Bennigan's next to the parking lot where you parked your car. That Bennigan's sign is a landmark.
Yeah. The
street that you're currently on is the road, the path, and the buildings are the edges. You're gonna leave this part and go over into the Arch District where this fancy smancy close is, going through a node and changing districts. When you return, that Bennigan sign is the landmark to get you back to your car. That's a level. That's the mental map you use.
Yeah, and Wrath, yes, unique tiles and textures are the key for each area.
Make places look different.
Yeah. And so that leads us to how they navigate, which is
strategies,
dead reckoning and path integration. Okay. We all do it. We all do dead reckoning.
We all
which
do.
is even if you don't have a landmark available, you can estimate where you're at, your current position, and it's tells you right there, orienting your starting position. This is where I am. This is what's around me. And then you could extrapolate where you're at right along. You can extrapolate what your movement is by direction, speed, and travel time.
Right. The whole concept being, the reason they call it Dead Reckoning, actually, I don't know why they call it Dead Reckoning, but sailors used to use this to navigate via the stars. Pilots used to do it. You know, just looking and seeing where they're at, whether it be through the stars, a sextant, etc., and knowing they need to alter their path a little bit. This is because, like all creatures on this planet, we have an innate ability to kind of figure out where we're at.
Yeah.
And kind of figure out where we're going. Birds have it as a superpower, but we all have it. And that means that when you're inside of a level, that Dead Reckoning is going to start kicking in.
Yeah.
You know, and whether or not Teal gets lost is as much how well that area is designed as it is whether or not Teal is getting lost.
Yes. So, please.
Shall we strategize?
Let's strategize.
All right, let's do it.
So, strategies.
This is a good bullet list.
Yes. This is good on the bullet list because it is so succinct.
Yep.
Track following.
Yes.
Route following. Educated seeking. Inference. Oh, I like inference.
Inference is good.
Screening. Searching the area for a helpful clue. Aiming. You're looking for a perceptible target and moving in that direction. Map reading. Using the some kind of map, whether it's on screen or at the corner of your screen or whatever.
Like a mini map, or you press pause for a map.
Or quest marker map, that sort of thing.
Yeah, compassing. Same thing. Location.
And then social navigation, following the crowd. A perfect example of that was an ESO when we were all fighting anchors.
Yes, following the crowd.
Oh my God, there's like 30 of us.
Or if an NPC runs off in a different direction and you have to follow them to go to the next part of the quest.
Yeah.
So for example, with track following, that would be, let's use Skyrim as an example because it's really easy.
Yeah, it is.
Track following is the signs on the road that tell you whether you're going to Windhelm or Riften.
Yeah.
Route following is, well, literally just the routes, the roads of Skyrim.
Using those roads.
Educated seeking is you've gone past an area in the Reach and you've seen that large bridge that the Forsworn are on. And when you go around the bend, you know that area with the Forsworn, which is where you have to go, is now to the west as opposed to the north. It's educated seeking. You kind of know where it is. Inference is, okay, so now that you're at a cave and you know that area with the Forsworn is above you, this cave more than likely leads to them.
Yeah, that's good inference, yeah.
Screening, systematically searching for a way to get up to the Forsworn, whether it's a path off to the mountain or something inside the dungeon, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of these are tools that you can use to create wayfinding, where the core is the player finds their way, literally, and you give them the guides.
Yeah.
All right. Signage theory. Do you want to go over that?
Yeah, let's go over that.
Okay.
So you have informational signs.
Right.
That provide useful information on the place where you're at, such as,
Like you walk into a town and here's the blacksmith. It's the blacksmith. It shows the name of the blacksmith. Got a little picture of an anvil.
Yeah.
And it has opened at 6, open at 9, close at 6. That's informational.
Directional signs. These point with arrows. So this way to Windhelm, this way to Whiterun.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they're usually posted at junctions.
Generally
so you have to make a decision about you going to go on this road or the other road.
You can use directionals really well on your nodes.
Yeah.
Identification
signs, so it helps you recognize where you currently are. This can be placed at the beginning of towns, the entrance to a town, or the building entrance.
One of my favorite things, and again, we're going to use Skyrim as an example because despite the problems with
this way to win, okay, BG.
Despite problems that we have with certain aspects of that game, it actually handles the wayfinding really well. You know what town you're about to walk into because of whatever symbols on it. You see the bear, you know you're about to walk into Windhelm.
Right.
You see the stag, you know you're about to walk into Falkreath, etc. So that's an identification mark that's not even a word.
Yeah, it's just a picture. And then lastly, you have regulatory signs. So this is like the rules, what you can and cannot do in a given area.
Yeah, there you go. You know, no smoking, restricted area, no trespassing. So then we're going to go down here to wayfinding aids.
Aids, yes.
They really go down into two different parts here. Go ahead.
You have your positive reinforcement, which attracts the player to the approach.
Right.
You got negative reinforcement to let you know where you can't go.
Right. A positive reinforcement would be along, you know, you're going the right way, you get a treasure chest.
Yeah.
You know, that reward we're always talking about to you guys. If you reward your player either with a view, a piece of information, story, breadcrumb, treasure, environmental storytelling, anything that rewards them, that's a positive reinforcement. Negative reinforcement is going someplace they shouldn't and something happens. Maybe they get attacked by a high-level enemy. Maybe they're all of a sudden trespassing and the Metal Gear Solid, caution counter starts playing. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good negative reinforcement.
Okay.
You get to the boundary, the edge of the map, and this you can't progress forward anymore, and a little sign says you cannot go that way.
Yeah, the Bethesda invisible wall. Yeah.
That's negative reinforcement.
So it goes more to this. If you do have the article link, start over again. If you follow the article link that's in the description of the video, you will be able to go to here and you'll look at things like, you can use allegory, world building, following NPCs, unusual detail, and it gives you a percentage of certainty.
Yeah, they break it down to subtle, core, situational, and direct.
It's really good.
Nice. It's very nicely broken down.
If we were to go over this, we would probably extend this particular section by about another 20 minutes. So for everyone's sanity, we're just going to say go here.
Yeah.
And read this, because this is really good.
Print it out and put it in your binder.
Yes.
Of resources.
You guys do have a binder of game making resources, right?
I do hope you do.
You should. And the reason being is because if you choose a subtle technique, it's going to be less of a full-on push than a course technique, which is something like sight lines, which we talked about.
We talked about sight lines. We talked about lighting.
In world
showing
signage.
That spotlight down on the sword.
Environmental storytelling, everyone's newest and bestest friend.
I love that.
And then situational, which is, a lot harder, where it's a scripted sequence, a cutscene. We all need to go to Windhelm. Run. That's a cutscene.
Yeah.
And then finally direct, which is pretty much you just say, go here.
Go here.
And here's barriers. You can't not go. Just go. Just
do it.
Go from here to there. Do not pesco. Do not collect 200 septums.
Right.
It's more like you have a folder. There you go.
Folder. But that's good. You have a folder in your PC for game resources. Perfect.
That's your game making.
That is perfect. Bookmarks.
Yes.
A folder for your bookmarks.
Yes.
Awesome.
So the end result is this. If you're going to engage in level design that is going to feel like the player is experiencing that co-oping that experience of your level, you're going to want to engage in wayfinding as opposed to the direct, quote unquote, critical path.
Yeah.
And that's regardless of whether it's a 3D or a 2D game. So all of you 2D devs out there, don't think you have to disregard this, and you can't. In fact, you need to do this even more than a 3D dev because you're on a restricted access.
Yes, you are. So you really got to up your game when it comes to wayfinding.
And when we read this article, we both, of course, Teal and I, we read it, we take things away from it. I love how they use against wayfinding. They use Disneyland as a model. We're not going to go into the minutia anymore, but here's the thing. Teal and I both approach level design differently in its details, but pretty much the same in its base. And that is this. If you build your level organically, like how it would be if it existed in reality, a lot of these wayfinding techniques are going to be there.
Yeah, they will.
It's only when you try to force your level that you're going to run into these problems.
Yeah.
So basically, create your level the way it would be in reality. And a lot of these situations are going to solve themselves.
Yeah, your level needs to feel natural and organic.